friends, how are you doing? I hope you're all doing well and I hope you all had a very great week. I actually had a very busy week at work this last week. There were so many things happening. It was a little bit chaotic and a couple of things were very emotional because there were a couple of things happening with my students. So yeah, it wasn't very turbulent week, you could say. I took a couple of things home with me and I don't know, I had a couple of sleepless nights as well. So I'm kind of like planning on relaxing this weekend. And it is Saturday right now and I figured why not start another weekly reading vlog in which I'm actually going to read 2 books from my TBR. I'm actually going to start off this week by reading Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. And Starling House is a book about a girl who lives with her brother in her own small village and she kind of tries to save money so her and her brother can escape this village. And then she gets this job offer or job opportunity to work at the Starling House, which is a little bit of a weird place because there used to live an author who suddenly mysteriously disappeared. And the girl Opal in this book, the main character, she loves this author and she really loves his work. So she kind of is very excited on working in Starling House and she's going to explore this house as well. It has a little bit of a haunted vibes to it, so I don't know, I'm kind of in the mood of something haunting and a little bit creepy. So I definitely hope that these will give the vibes. The second book I really want to read this week is The Honey Witch, written by Sydney J. Shields. And this is a book about a woman who actually gets an opportunity to learn how to become a honey witch by her grandmother. But being a honey witch does come with a price. You can't fall in love. So that's probably going to give some struggles for our main character. And our main character also meets another woman who is very skeptic about magic, but our main character wants to prove that magic actually exists, and this does come with some struggles obviously for our main character. It sounds just a lot of fun. I think that The Honey Witch sounds completely different than the Starling House and gives a little bit more sweet vibes to it, so I think it's perfect combination of 2 different books for this week. For the rest of the week I don't have a lot of things planned. Today I'm actually going to read. My parents are coming later in the afternoon and we're going to bake some pancakes and watch probably a Halloween themed movie. And for the rest of the week I just have to go to work, do a couple of things. I do have a couple of afternoons off. I'm actually thinking maybe going back to the garden center. I visited the garden center last week to buy some pumpkins. I saw something there that I really liked. I ended up not buying it and now I kind of regret it. So I'm thinking of maybe going back to see if they still have it. I'm going to stop rambling right now because I really want to start reading Starling House. So I'm going to do that right now and I'll get back to you later with a little bit of an update. I just got back from the concert and it was absolutely brilliant. I really loved it. It was so amazing. It was like the music from John Williams and Hans Zimmer. And I went there with my mom because my dad was able to get like free tickets because he works at the concert hall in Rotterdam. And yeah, I don't know, it was really amazing. I had an amazing time. Right now I'm kind of like just cooking dinner for myself. Not doing a lot of things today. I still have like some vegetables left from last Friday. So I'm just cutting up some sausages right now, throw it into the vegetables and then heat it up in the microwave. Because that's how lazy I am on a Sunday evening. I'm tired and it's fine. So I'm going to put everything in the microwave. I just have like some sausages on top and I still had like some vegetables from last Friday. It's like tomato, basil and mushrooms. So yeah, not that special. I'm going to eat this with 2 slices of bread and I think that will be enough. I'm not that hungry, I don't know. It's like Sunday, so just easy, relaxed. So I'm sorry if you can hear like the microwave. And I just put like 2 slices of bread in a toast maker. So that will just be a very quick and easy dinner for me tonight. But now let's talk about Starling House because oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'm right now at page 66, chapter 9. And I have to admit at the beginning of the book it feels a little bit info dumping, especially some slices. There's even like a whole Wikipedia page typed out for you to read. So I definitely feel that there's quite a lot of information spilled out for you as a reader. But at the same time, for me personally, it's the right amount of information. You get like a lot of information about the characters' backgrounds, about the house, about who used to live there. So I kind of feel that I'm reaching, while I was on the bus to the concert hall, I actually read chapter 8 and I kind of felt that in chapter 8 the story is kind of starting to move on and there are a couple of developments, so I kind of feel that the information dumping has been done. Now we can go on a roll with the story and that's kind of how I feel about it. What I really liked about the book so far is I kind of liked the character Opal. She's the main character. And I really like the fact that you don't really have to wait for Starling House to happen. Very early on in the book they mention Starling House and Opal also walks past it. And the day after she already goes there. So you don't really have to wait that long for it. And something else I really like is the eerie feeling you get. Even though you get a lot of information, all those information you get, there is something wrong with it. It's very atmospheric, the story, and that's something that I'm really enjoying so far. It definitely gives the haunted house vibes and also a little bit of gothic vibes, I feel. And I'm not entirely sure yet because 66 pages is not that far in and the book has like 304 pages. But I still have a lot to go. I'm really enjoying it so far, so I'm going to give you guys an update. I think maybe tomorrow or on Tuesday. I'm not entirely sure. My sister's coming back tomorrow for just only 1 day. So we only have 1 day that we can spend together. And I'm not entirely sure if I'll have time to film because we kind of always, as soon as I get home from work tomorrow, we start talking. It's like dinner time. So I'm not entirely sure how we always do that. We kind of just start talking and we never stop. But I'm really looking forward to see her again tomorrow. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if we will film. But anyhow, I'm rambling, I'm tired, I'm going to have my dinner, the microwave is almost done. I still have to prepare Sissy's dinner. I really have to look at her because she is not that happy that I'm talking to the camera now and not working on her dinner. Because look here. She's waiting for me. Oh, poor thing, she's so hungry. So yeah, I'm actually going, I'm going now. So I'll give you guys an update as soon as I'm further into the book, and if that's tomorrow or the day after, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll see you guys in just a couple of seconds. Just got my package in from H&M. I ordered a couple of items a couple of weeks ago actually, and they just arrived and I was really excited about them. So that's the reason why I'm sitting on the ground of my bedroom, because I really want to try them on and I thought it would be fun to show you guys what I got. I only got 3 items, so don't get excited for a very big H&M haul. It's a very mini haul. But that being said, before I'm going to show you guys what I got, I actually just finished A Starling House during lunch today, and I don't know about this book, but to be honest, it was a disappointment for me. Alex E. Harrow wrote one of my favorite books, The Ones That Future Riches, and that was, I think, the reason why my hopes for this book and my expectations were way too high. I expected it to be my next favorite book, and it wasn't. I had a good time while reading this book. It's not a bad book. Like, I think I have to make that very clear. Like, even though there are a couple of things that I really didn't like about the story and the characters and the way everything was set up, but at the same time there were a lot of elements that I loved about this book, and I kind of just wished that the author had explored more of those things that I really liked. My biggest issue with this book is the way our main character Opal actually gathers the information about the house and everything that's going on. Because from the start of the book until the end of the book, she only gets her information by people who explain things to her and kind of tell her a story about the house. Or by reading a Wikipedia page, which actually also happens in this book as well. You have to read a full Wikipedia page to find out something about Starling House. To be honest, that's one of my least favorite ways to get information. I don't really like complete sections of the book being completely informative about a certain subject or a very important thing of the story itself. I kind of always like my characters to explore and find out things along the way of the story, instead of just simply being explained and told by someone else what they want to know. It's not really my jam. I don't really like that, and I don't mind it when it happens in books, because sometimes it's one of the easiest and quickest way to get a certain part of information. I do really get annoyed by it when it kind of happens constantly, and every time our character is in need of a certain bit of information, she doesn't really goes out explore it herself, but she gets it told by someone else the things that she really needs to know. And that's just like my biggest problem with this story, to be honest. Those parts really got me very annoyed, and it kind of took me out of the story a couple of times as well. But that's aside. I really loved the character, the Starling House, because the house itself is its own character that I really enjoyed, and I kind of wish that the author explored it a little bit more throughout the story. You really get to know the character a lot more at the beginning of the book, where you find out that the house itself is kind of alive and is able to show feelings and is able to change and kind of sets the mood, and you can notice when the house is happy. That was something that I really enjoyed. But what I kind of didn't really enjoy about the book was the fact that I felt we did not get to explore and enjoy the house as much as I wanted to, especially since the book is named Starling House. So I kind of figured that that would be like the main thing of the story itself. It kind of was, but I felt it was more of a background, because our main character spends a lot more time outside of the house than she actually does inside of the house. And one of the other things that I really didn't enjoy was the fact that at the beginning of the story you definitely have that eerie feeling. You really feel that something is completely wrong, and I feel that the mood and the atmosphere in the story at the beginning is really well done. However, I do feel that throughout the story itself, especially in the second part of the book, this is completely lost, and you don't really have that eerie feeling anymore. And in the end, the whole ending is very anticlimax. The scariest things inside of the story are kind of explained in the middle. So at the end, they're not that frightening or scary anymore. So the tension kind of slips away. The whole haunting feeling I had at the beginning of the story just get lost towards the end. And that was something that I was really disappointed about. Those three are like my biggest issues with the story. Everything else I felt was okay. I liked the writing style, the characters were fine. I did sometimes get annoyed a little bit by Opal, our main characters, but the other characters I thought were interesting enough. They did add certain things to the story that I really liked, and I had not really a problem with that at all. And the progress of the story, it was fine as well. To be honest, it is a fine and good book, and I definitely can see why other people really love this. But it was not really my book, and it might have been the fact that my expectations were probably way too high. So now let's get into the H&M stuff I bought. I bought a couple of things. For starter, I bought this skirt. And the reason why I bought this skirt is I'm actually kind of like looking for new skirts, especially after decluttering my wardrobe. I actually filmed that one as well, so I put like a link somewhere here on top and in the description box. Kind of realized I needed a couple of new skirts. I really like the pattern of this skirt. I thought the flowers were really pretty and the colors are really my thing. So I decided to buy this one. Now I actually have it. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be something for me. It's very thin and I'm a little bit afraid it might be see-through. So, well, we'll try it on and see how it looks. Another thing I bought is I'm kind of like looking for a new basic top. So I bought this tank top as well. It has like this rib fabric feel to it, which I really like. Another thing I bought were these trousers. They're actually a lot darker on screen than they are in real life. And that's my issue at the moment with the trousers as well. They're a little bit too blue, which probably sounds ridiculous because they're blue. I expected them to be a lot more darker and a lot more deeper color blue than they actually are. They're a lot lighter. So I'm not entirely sure about the color yet, but I really like the feel of the trousers as well. I like the gold belt. So yeah, I figured just get these things on and let's see how everything looks. Please pay no attention to the mess around me, but I actually have the trousers on. And I really like the height of the trousers. I really like how high the trousers are, and especially if you like wear a crop top, you don't really have to be too scared that you might show too much skin or anything like that. So I really like it. I do however miss the pockets. The trousers do not have any pockets. I kind of like the length. It could be a little bit longer, but I'm not able to show you guys if I walk all the way back. But I like the wideness of the legs. But one thing I really don't like, it really hugs you, especially from behind, to be quite honest. You can actually see everything. So I don't actually think that I have the right underwear to wear under these trousers. You can just, it shows everything, from especially in the back and on the sides. It so shows every dimple, everything you have. Not in the front, but it definitely does here on the side and in the back as well. So that's something that is a big no for me, and I'm really sad about it because the feel of the trousers are really nice. So if you're not bothered by it, I definitely suggest just buy them, especially if you're looking for a nice blue or beige or black trousers, because they had these in different colors. And here is the skirt, and to be honest, it's way too short. Like, I like the print. I really like the print. I even like the ruffle around it. I'm not mad at the fact that it's like a little asymmetrical, but I really don't like the length. I don't mind wearing this length in private, but I was kind of like more looking for a length I would also be able to wear to my job. It's a little bit too short to wear to work as a teacher. If you're looking for something like this, it's not see-through. It is definitely nice material, but for me this is a little bit too short. So here's the tank top on. I really like it. The fabric feels really nice. It is not as stretchy as I actually thought it was going to be. The fabric is a little bit stiffer than a normal tank top, to be honest. And the only thing that I do not really like is the fact that the straps are kind of like going a little bit more inside, so it doesn't cover your bra straps, which I kind of prefer. At the same time, I'll probably wear this in the winter with a cardigan or anything else on top, so you probably won't really notice it, except for the summer, but then I have like other bras I could wear as well underneath. But yeah, I kind of really like it. I like the back as well, but also in the back you can kind of like see the bra straps, so do keep that in mind. Like if you are looking for something underneath anything, I definitely think that this is really nice. Or if you're just someone who always really likes to wear like a strapless bra, or you're not bothered by your bra straps showing out, then this is a really nice top. I really like the fit and the feel of it though. so please do not pay any attention on how I look at the moment. I just got out of the shower, my hair is still wet, and I am not wearing any makeup. I'm kind of like giving my face a little bit of a rest. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit rough at the moment. And my hair, I'm letting it air dry, so please do not pay any attention how I look at the moment. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about Honey Witch, because I'm pretty far in. I'm actually at chapter 17, page 146. And I'm loving it so far. I am really excited to see where the story is going. It follows Marigold, and Marigold is a woman who lives in the 1800s. She suddenly gets this visits from her grandmother, and her grandmother is dying, and she's a honey witch, and she needs someone who's going to replace her as a honey witch. So she kind of offers Marigold the position of the honey witch, and Marigold really wants to take it because she doesn't really want to get married and have a traditional life. So she's really excited about it. And her family, of course, especially her mother, doesn't really agree with it. Her father and her siblings actually love the idea. So they're very supportive. And she goes and lives with her grandmother, and all this happens at the beginning of the book in like the first 50 pages. And I have to admit that even though I'm really liking it so far, at the beginning of the book I really didn't like it so much that I actually thought of DNFing it. And I'm not kidding, at page 50 or something, 50, 60, I kind of put the book down and I started reading some reviews on Goodreads, because I really didn't enjoy the pace of the story, and I really disliked the writing. And I recognized some of my concerns in a lot of reviews as well, but at the same time also read a lot of positive reviews, which kind of stimulated me to continue reading it. And I'm really happy about it. But I definitely understand people who DNF this book around 20 or 30% in. The writing is definitely an issue. It's a debut novel, and you kind of feel that, especially at the beginning of the book. This book is split up in a couple of parts, and the first part is completely rushed. The pace is really off. It's going extremely fast. There are hardly any emotions into place when Marigold gets this position to replace her grandmother as the honey witch, because that means that she has to leave home and kind of has to break with tradition by just marry, and which was really common in the 1800s. So I didn't really enjoy the fact that everything just went way too quickly. All the characters were way too shallow at the beginning. They didn't have any emotion. It was completely rushed. And it was rushed so much that it really got me out of the story. And I have to admit that you definitely, if you try this book and it bothers you in the beginning, try to keep reading until around 100 pages. And I know it's always really annoying if people tell you to just continue reading it and try it out, because it gets better in the end. And definitely is a reason for me sometimes not to pick up a book, because I don't want to wait 100 pages before the fun starts or before it gets better. I want it to be good from the start on. But at the same time, I do think that this book definitely has potential, and it is a cozy fantasy. I get it that it is a cozy fantasy, but I definitely miss the atmosphere. I miss the details in how everything looks, how everything feels, how everything tastes. Still, even after 100 pages, the story progresses pretty quickly, and sometimes the writing style is just sometimes a little bit off. And you can definitely feel while reading this book that this is the first book that the author has published. I still think that this book has a lot of potential, and I'm definitely curious to see where the story is going, because I really like the story, and I definitely like Marigold, and the connection she had with her grandmother at the beginning of this book was amazing. And I really loved how she was being trained as a honey witch, and grandmother dies, which is no surprise because that kind of comes up in, I think, page 15 of the book, so it's very early on. And when after the death of her grandmother, I kind of feel that the story is really starting, and I have a little bit of a feeling that the author had this story in mind, and that she wrote this story, but that she had to write a beginning to get every character in place and to kind of give a reason why Marigold is where she is. I don't know, the beginning just feels completely off with the rest of the book, at least so far. Like I'm not that far in, I'm almost halfway through, so I'm not entirely sure how everything is going to progress later on in the story, but that's kind of how I feel at the moment. So yeah, we'll see how this story is going to progress, and I'll give you guys an update after I finish this book, because I'm going to continue reading this today, and I think I'll finish it around, well, dinner time probably, because I still have like 200 pages to go, so I'll read for like an hour or two. 2.5 I think today, and I still have to edit this reading vlog as well because tomorrow I'm going shopping. So I don't think I have like a lot of time to edit this video, and I'm a little bit late with filming this week. So yeah, life has just been really weird because I don't know, I've been like looking into a lot of houses, and we have to move from the place we are currently living in like 6 months. Before the end of April we have to be out of this amazing house, and yeah, it's really hard, and this week that definitely got to me. That's the reason why I'm also a little bit late, a little bit behind reading and filming today or this week, because I don't know, I've been really struggling mentally this week because the whole housing search is not going as I wanted. I've been on it for 1.5 years now, so it's pretty long, and I've been replying to houses constantly, almost on a daily basis. I had a lot of rejection emails this week, so that kind of like really got to me because well, I'm on my own, and it's really hard to find a house here in the Netherlands, especially at the moment. The housing market is in complete chaos. The prices are extremely high, and the rental places are also extremely high in price comparison. At the same time, so many people are trying to find a house. I'm not the only one that's applying on the advertisements of the housing. So I don't know, I've been definitely going through a little bit of a mental breakdown this week, watching a lot of TV because that kind of keeps my mind off things a lot easier, and sleeping a lot because I'm just constantly extremely exhausted, and I don't know, it's definitely getting to me lately. So that's also one of the reasons why I was a little bit behind reading, because Starling House was a little bit difficult to get through. And that's definitely also a book I would love to talk to you guys about, Starling House, because, and also about the Honey Witch, don't get me wrong, but the Starling House, it's a book that is like on my mind a lot since I finished it yesterday. Still don't know really what to feel or how to feel about this book. It's just at the same time I kind of liked it, and I definitely see the potential of the story, but at the same time I also really disliked it. So I'm like a little bit torn, and I just really would love to talk about it. So as I mentioned in my last clip, I would finish the Honey Witch before dinner, and I did. I am currently preparing my own dinner. Again, very easy, just heating up some tomato soup and making myself some grilled cheese sandwiches. I do cook for myself though, sometimes. I have a feeling I don't really cook in these reading vlogs, but I definitely cook sometimes. But today, again, it's just a lazy day. I am a little bit late, a little bit behind everything, as I mentioned as well in the previous clip. So I'm just, because I'm late, I kind of want everything to be easy and fast. But the Honey Witch, let's talk about the Honey Witch, because I finished it and I do have some opinions about it. I still stand by my point that I really liked it. I definitely liked it a lot more than Starling House. It was definitely a lot more my cup of tea. However, the book definitely has its issues. I think that the writing style is one of the main issues of the story. It kind of makes the story sometimes way too rushed for characters to develop a lot better, for a relationship to be more explored and get more depth. At some points in the story is really good and it's very entertaining, and at some points it's just very rushed. I feel this book kind of needs another 100 pages to explain more things and explore more of the characters, explore more of their relationships. Our main character definitely has a lot more depth to it. There are also 2 side characters, August and Lottie. They both have more depth. They both definitely, well, Lottie does have some growth to her character as well. August doesn't really. But the other side characters, Marigold's family for example, you could just take them out and the story would kind of be the same, except for August, his storyline. But he could have had a little bit of a different storyline or make it a little bit more easier, especially since I kind of feel that his story is one of the things that lacks a lot of depth and is just there, and it doesn't really add anything to the main storyline and the focus. It definitely takes away the focus of the big bad that is explained at the beginning of the book, because that doesn't really show up anymore until the end of the story. And it is very well done at the end, don't get me wrong, I really like the end. I think it is a great ending to the story. But there is this whole part where Marigold, together with Lottie and August, goes back to her family for a wedding, and that whole section of the story, these scenes could easily be taken out of it because it doesn't really add anything to the main storyline, except for maybe a little bit more growth in the relationship between Lottie and Marigold. I really liked it though, even though I do feel I'm sounding a little bit more negative. I definitely liked the story a lot. It's just that the writing itself was not really on point throughout the whole book. Definitely took me out of the story a lot more at the beginning of the book than it did in the middle and the end. I kind of accepted it more, and I felt that after accepting the fact that the writing was sometimes a little bit rough and a little bit too much to the point, after accepting that, I enjoyed the story a lot more, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very magical at some points as well, and I really loved the whole spirit stuff. I just wish that we would have stayed at the island and not have gone back to her family, because when we went back to the family, the whole magic part of the story kind of went away as well until we got back to the island again. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very magical. The only thing that I would like to add is that the story is not that atmospheric, and that's something that I wish it would have been, but I definitely feel that that is more because of the writing. That the writing is a little bit to the point at some points, a little bit too rushed for it to kind of put you a little bit more in the setting, put you a little bit more in the mood of the story, and give you a little bit more of the details that you're wishing, or at least I always really wish for in a cozy fantasy. And while I was editing the other clip, I actually realized that I mentioned it a couple of times that the writing is probably not as great because it was the first debut novel from the author, and I do actually think that that might be true, but at the same time I read a lot of other debuts from other authors and they were definitely a little bit better, I think. Then again, everyone is different. I still enjoyed it. Even though I did not enjoy the writing, I still really enjoyed the story, and I do think that that is the most important thing. As long as I enjoy the story and as long as I enjoy the characters, I can kind of get through the writing itself as well. And it definitely get better. Like, don't get me wrong, the worst part is definitely at the beginning, and throughout the rest of the book, especially after I left you from the other clip, I definitely feel that the story gets so much better. The writing gets a lot better. It just has some issues at some parts. But enough about the writing. I just really enjoyed the story. I loved Marigold. I loved her relationship with Lottie. I really liked how that developed. But most of all, I really loved how Marigold was the honey witch. I really liked her spells, the way she did her magic. And it kind of felt a little bit more realistic as well. I would like to mention that this is an historical fantasy, but do not really pay attention too much to the historical details, because it kind of follows more the historical details of the Bridgerton TV show. Not the Bridgerton books, but more the Bridgerton TV show. So it is not really historical accurate. And that also brings me to one other thing I would still mention. You could take away the dates and could take away the year, because it doesn't really contribute anything to the story except that Marigold doesn't marry. So that's kind of like the only reason why you would probably pay attention to the year. But if you take away the year, like the 1800s, and put it somewhere else, because the book is not that atmospheric and doesn't really give you a lot of details, you don't really feel as if the story takes place in the 1800s, because it doesn't really follow the historical accuracy. So you don't feel it at all. But to be honest, I wasn't bothered by it at all. I enjoyed it. I didn't mind the fact that girls were marrying girls, boys were marrying boys, and everything was completely different. Girls were attending schools as well. I didn't really mind that at all. I actually really enjoyed it. I felt the book was a lot more modern than it was maybe supposed to be, but I really enjoyed it. I had a great time, and I would definitely recommend it. Just try the first 100 pages. Don't stop after 50 or 60 pages. Please try a little bit further. Get yourself into the second part, because I think that if you start reading the second part, and if you get, I know it's almost halfway through the book, but at the part where I was yesterday, the story takes really a lot more of an interesting turn, and the ending is really well done. So yeah, I still think it's a really good book. Definitely compared to the Starling House. From the two books I read this week, this one is definitely my favorite, and I do see myself rereading this one a lot. The Starling House, however, I still have so many issues with it, especially after thinking about it and even after editing this vlog as well. I don't know. I think that book definitely is a lot better when it comes down to the writing. Don't get me wrong, if you're looking for a better written book, then read The Starling House, because that book is written a lot better. However, I do feel that the story doesn't live up to its potential, and The Honey Witch does. The Honey Witch definitely does live up its potential. It definitely gives you some cottage vibes. It gives you a better romance, more likable characters. It gives you definitely better feelings, even though that the book is not as atmospheric as I would have liked. But it definitely just, the story, the build up of the story itself is a lot better than in The Starling House, at least from my opinion. So yeah, I think both books, if I would have to rate them, I don't always really like rating books and give them stars, because sometimes, especially on Goodreads, you can't really give anything half stars. But if I would have to rate them, I think The Honey Witch would be 3.5-ish, 3.5, 4 stars. And to be honest, The Starling House, I'm a little bit between the 2 and 3 stars. The 2 stars because I really didn't like it. Definitely not as much as I liked The Honey Witch. And I know they're completely different, so I probably should not compare them. I would like to give it 3 stars because I think it is written better. But at the same time, I always kind of give the ratings more on my emotion and not per se on the way things are written. So I'm a little bit between those ratings, I think. Somewhere between a 2 and 3. 2 and a 3, and I don't know, 2 always sounds so low, but at the same time I kind of feel it does deserve it a little bit. But anyhow, let me know what you guys think of these books. If you have read them, would you like to read them? Just let me know in the comment section down below. I really hope you enjoyed this vlog, and I hope to see you guys next week. If you are new to this channel and you really like this reading vlog as well, I'll be back with another video next week. So hit the subscribe button and give this one a thumbs up, and see you guys very soon. Bye bye!